Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 6 of Cocoon. And on this episode, we have Kel Green from The Art of Being You. Welcome, Kel. How are you?
Thank you, and welcome, Karen. Welcome, everyone. It's nice to be here and have the opportunity to join in the conversation for health and wellness practitioners today.
Thank you for being on the show. And we'll always like to kick off with hearing our guest career stories. So, how did you begin working in the wellness space? How did it all start for you?
For me, I would look at it like, how did I get into the health and wellness space? And I got in it from when I was about 15, so 40 years ago. And really, it was like I was a very sensitive child and with an awareness. And I've noticed a lot of people in this industry have that sensitivity because they're open to working with people in healing and personal growth. So my own experiences as a child caused me to either look at how I'm going to live my life here and work with my own experiences from a positive side in personal growth and wellness, or to become injured and a victim of life. And the reason that I looked at it like that is my dad was very much into health and wellness and new ways of thinking and being in the world. So I had that surrounding me already. And that's how I began my journey. And so from 15 onwards, I explored many different tools and techniques for healing and growing myself. And I just began working in the industry from there. So first corporate and working in IT and creativity. I'd already become very intuitive by that stage. And then I just walked away from corporate because I felt like there had to be more. And that was a very interesting choice because most of the people couldn't understand, who are close to me, why I would give up a corporate career. I was working in my own business in IT strategy, and I did some work overseas as well, doing the days of Silicon Valley, and I worked with Telstra in their IP department. So I was doing that kind of work, but really I just wasn't fulfilled, and there was something missing. It was easy, it was fun, but there was some meaning missing for me. And because of my earlier experiences and doing the inner work, I wanted to just dedicate my life and work to knowing who I was and giving that experience to other people to become more aware themselves. And that's how I began.
Wow. And so when did you start in your business now, in your wellness business? How did that all begin?
Well, I've been going with this current business about 12 years, but I've been teaching yoga for 14 or so. And even before that, I was working in other areas of understanding to do with coaching and conversations for other people. So, look, I don't know if I can put a time on it. Yeah, it's difficult.
Yeah, no, that's great. And so with your clients, so I'm sure you're very busy, and in working in the space that you do, you're often sort of giving to others as part of, or even sort of listening and taking things on. How do you maintain your energy levels, just generally, in terms of balancing your life, your working life and your home life, and making sure everything gets done?
Well, we're often trained to look outside in the world to do what we need to do, either to take care of us or to take care of other people. And for me, the whole orientation is, what do I need to do within me first? So I take my awareness inward and I look at what is needed to balance from the inside out. And, I think we spoke about this in the other question for our introduction, Karen, which is that it's about taking time to care for yourself through practical means. I use meditation, I use breathing, I use yoga postures. But really it's a check-in with me about where's my energy levels and where am I coming from in that. And when I do that, it's almost like having a shower. We have a shower every day. Why wouldn't I have a shower on the inside to set myself up for my day or after clients as well?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And the thing is too, if you had like an intensely busy period, if you're sort of doing that maintenance, does that see you through okay? Or is there anything else you do that you do after, just say, like an extraordinarily busy period to even help you to sort of reset again? Is there anything anything else that you do?
Yeah, well, let's say we have a client with a very intense traumatic experience or a story that's quite surprising out of the box. I usually notice when that's happening for me because I feel a reaction, which means it speaks to an aspect of myself that is not yet integrated. Now, that sounds very technical, but on a feeling level, what that means is that there's a part of me that needs taking care of when I walk away from that experience. So what I do is I look at where that's come from. I sit with that experience, that feeling, and I look at what that's bringing up for me. And this is a really important part because I've found, I worked in a healing center for quite a while, that a lot of the practitioners were getting burnout, were feeling depleted or depressed or some sort of reaction from their clients. And it's really important to look at that rather than just cut it off or even just not pay attention to what they need to do for themselves. So I look at that in myself, I sit with it and I identify what that is. And usually it's a belief, usually it taps back to something in my past experience. And then I sit with and I work with that. And so I can use drawing, I use creative expression. I might write about it in terms of my story. There's a plethora of tools. It's basically, as practitioners and those who are listening now, use your own material on yourself to help move yourself through that. And it comes back to feeling centered in the energy. So the last thing I'd like to mention is coming back to a connection within. When we're connected to the energy and source, it's a lot less burnout occurs, a lot less reactions occur. And it's about deepening our connection with ourselves so that regardless of what happens on the outside, we can stay centered and energized.
Yeah, wow, that is great advice. So don't ignore it, dive into it, and then and see what's going on. And what do you wish you knew at the beginning of your career in the wellness space that you know now to sort of help yourself have I guess, chart a smoother path?
Yeah, well, when you ask me that question, Karen, I go back to myself as like when I was 15 and, I had a lot of things happening in my life. And as a very sensitive teenager, we all have dramas and we all have stories. And I remember thinking, I don't know what's wrong with me, right? So I had those sort of thoughts. And I was like, if someone had said to me how I was using my mind was affecting the way I was experiencing my world, that would have been very helpful. And also understanding that I can use my body to feel and move through stuff. I'd like to have known that as well. So the importance of understanding how we can use the mind, which is our perceiving and looking at things, not just our thoughts, and our body is a really integral to operating in peace and sense and centeredness in the world. The last part of that was, to me, is my purpose. Why are we actually here? And this speaks to, I know, a lot of people in the healing industry. We want to help other people heal and find stability and eventually grow from their experience so they can move through the world with peace and happiness. And how do we do that? Well, we be anchored in our purpose. So when I found my purpose and meaning, which is very clear to me, it was a lot easier to then work in the world and stay on track, stay centered.
Yeah, great. That's great advice. It really is. We're going to move now to talk a bit about social media. So we know, like now, social media has become a really effective tool to not only amplify our message and help people, but also to attract and build relationships with our clients. How do you navigate social media while maintaining your own wellness? Because you can become quite addicted. Trust me, I know. You can and quite sort of so where you're checking your phone all the time. So do you have any sort of rules or tips around it, how you approach social media, use it to your advantage, but without getting sucked into some of the negativity?
Oh, yeah. So you're talking about our relationship with social media, right? So the pull of posting and things like that. So first of all, I'd like to say I'm not very good at it, or I haven't been. And the reason I haven't been appearing to be good at it is because I've been exploring my illusions around that. Like, I've been on social media, Facebook, Instagram, 10 or 12 years, and I haven't done a lot to build my following or to post to get likes, those sorts of things. And that's because I was in the healing industry and I wanted to come from truth. And that led me on a journey of looking at what causes us to actually post. Who are we being? Are we being in our truth in doing that? Do we actually need to post 3 times a week to get X number of followers? And at the same time, accepting that this is a medium that we're using for communication out in the world today. So, like anything, it can be our egos or it can be in our truth. So for me, and that's why I'm on your show today, it's about listening to what I'm guided to do and to act from that, and to act without any attachment to what I'm wanting to achieve. In other words, just being who I want to be and connecting with people out there. And again, that comes back to our purpose. And with a very clear intention and engaging with those people like yourself, Karen, who I feel offer that alignment, is a really important part for getting out on social media today. Yeah.
And excuse me, that's right. Yeah, it's having that intention, because it's actually designed to make you sit there mindlessly scrolling. So if you just went with sort of what the platforms are trying to get you to do, that's what you would end up doing. So yeah, using it as a tool and I like that, thinking about the intention and what you're guided to do is a much more meaningful and mindful way of approaching it.
Sorry.
Oh no, please continue.
I love this. It's so hard when it's on the virtual, to read someone's body language. But I was going to say what you're also bringing up is time, like how we value time. And in the healing industry, especially, we only have a certain amount of time with our clients. So it's important that we're on point in terms of understanding what is needed, whether that's physical, mental, emotional, or energetic, and being that for our clients. Now, if we're using our time to get onto social media to, get the word out there from a place of, an hour a day or half an hour a day, I'd be questioning, why am I doing that? Is this what I'm meant to be doing for the highest good, to provide my service out there to clients? And the answer isn't always, yes, spend that much time. It's rather have an effective communication right up front with a clear intention and an understanding of how our time is meant to be used, because we've all got the human suit, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And now I'd like to ask you if you could share a sort of a case study or a story of positive transformation of one of your clients, without, of course, ethically with it, keeping it confidential. But can you share any really transformative experiences that you've seen one of your clients go through?
Oh, yeah. And it was also transformative for me as well. But I think, again, with what we do, we have the honor of witnessing people's process. It's such sacred work to be working in the health and wellness industry, to witness their vulnerability and the journey that people go on from their pain, to peace. So the client I'd like to bring forward is someone who came to me for what's called a spiritual conversation or a self-awareness conversation. And they're conversations where I engage with people for opening up their consciousness and awareness just through dialogue, because we store a lot of energy behind the dialogue in the form of thoughts in the mind, which most often are in illusion. So this person came to me and they said, Kel, I'm sitting in front of you. She didn't even say Kel. She was so caught up in a trauma. She said, I just want to kill myself.
Oh, wow.
I just want to die. Right?
It's heartbreaking.
She came into and so we're sitting in this room. It's absolute quiet. She's in front of me. She said, I just want to kill myself. I just feel like, I don't want to be here. And she said, I've been thinking about it for a while. And she said, that's how I'm feeling. And so I'm sitting in the space. And as a child, I actually went through this experience of feeling like that. So I know that quite often the people that come in front of us are the ones that we're ready to offer that healing to. And often we have that space because they're perfectly there for us. So I knew this person had come in here because she knew I could give that service to her to see and experience what she needed. So when she sat in front of me, the first thing I did is just hold this space of love and light and a view of her from a deeper level. In other words, it wasn't this person sitting in front of me, it was another soul who was having this experience. And by sitting there and not reacting to that, like we could have taken a more theoretical approach, for example, and this doesn't mean it's the same for every client. It doesn't mean not acting to get other support if we needed, but instead of going into her story and thinking, oh, does she need other support, mental health, fear, don't do that, that sort of reactionary stuff. I just sat there and let her say what she needed to say. So we sat in silence for quite a while. And in that process, it was like she was able to express, but at the same time know that how she felt and what she was thinking was okay. And I can't actually say what happened in that silence, but something amazing happened because, and then we continued the dialogue. And at the end of the session, she was completely at peace. She wasn't in a position where she was going to go out and kill herself. She could see and feel there was a purpose and meaning to how she was feeling. And through honor, she was centered and it was okay.
Yeah. Well, and have you followed up with her after, and she's much happier now?
You know what? I offered for her to contact me, and she didn't. But I just know that she was okay because how she walked out was not the same as how she walked in.
Yeah.
She was centered. She had a connection because quite often when people want to exit this world, it's because they're becoming disembodied. They've started already to check out because it's too painful to be in the physical body. So bringing someone back to being in the body and establishing reframing a new meaning and understanding of the purpose of why we're here is unique to each person. And that's actually what we did.
Yeah, wow. That's I don't think you can get much more transformative than that. That's a really great story. Now to shift the conversation on to goals. So we're nearly at the end of 2022, but how are you on track to achieve some of your goals for this year? And what are your thoughts about goals for 2023?
Well, I was thinking about this question, Karen, because goals take you into the future. It's always, and it's in this time and space reality, which we live in, time, space, and causation, which is, creates the illusion around the mind, right? It's like, I'm going to be here in 6 months, here in 12 months. And yeah, that in some ways that's necessary, but I work with being in the present and asking, what is it I need to know right now? What needs to be done? And in how I address that with planning is I come back and I check in. Okay, what is it I need to focus on in the next 3 months? And within those 3 months, what's the most important thing? And then I bring that into a practice every week or day in my journal. And what is it I need to do in my business right now? And is this still the highest and greatest good for my actions? So my goals is really to be in my purpose, to be on point and be in alignment between the heart and mind, between source energy, spirit self, and the physical world, so that there's no illusion, be in truth.
Yeah. That's great. And you can sort of tell when you're not in alignment, can't you?
Yes.
What are some of the hints that you notice when you think, oh, I'm off track?
Well, there's always a bit of dissonance. It's like kind of the crackling of the radio station, if anyone remembers, like tuning in the dial. But it's like usually it shows up because I'm feeling anything that's not love, peace, and calm, not tranquility. And that includes like joy, because sometimes we get so excited we get out of alignment, right? So, and it's not a bad thing. Like, to me, the human body and the mind is like a radio channel. We just need to tune in, and it's a practice. But I can say, after spending many years and moments working on myself, is that it does get easier. It gets more powerful and easier and instantaneous. Yeah.
That's good to know. That's good to know.
Yeah.
And so we're heading into our final question now. So what advice would you give to others sort of starting out in the wellness industry about how to avoid burnout?
Okay. Listen to yourself. Now, that is really important. And I'm talking about listening from the heart, not the head. And, for people who that might sound really unusual too, it basically means developing a sensitivity of feeling from the heart space. So we use the heart to tune into our deeper self. And that's why I'm inviting that in. It doesn't mean not paying attention to the thoughts in the head. It means just taking time and space to really listen to how you're feeling, because how we're feeling, it's an unfolding of subtle experience. So if you build that into your daily routine, that's an important process. How you're feeling about yourself, how you're feeling about business, and being very clear on what your purpose is, because your business is a reflection of who you are. Yeah. So overall, it means building in a practice or a discipline around listening to who you are and aligning that with what you're doing in your business.
Excellent advice. And so before we wrap up, Kel, you've got an ebook on offer that will be available for the next 7 days. So would you like to share some information about that? And I'll put the details in the post on Facebook and LinkedIn.
Thanks, Karen. Yeah. So the Breathe Feel meditation is an introduction to people who are learning how to meditate. So it's an explanation of what meditation is, how it affects your mind, how it affects your body, how to move into the place of the observer, which, we touched on it a little bit today, where we're the witness of what's going on in our life, which gives us more choice for how we're going to use our mind and how we're going to use our body. So it's an explanation of that. And then accompanying it is a guided audio meditation set to music around the simple action of breathing and feeling. So what I was sharing before about the human body being like a radio tower and our mind being able to tune in, the Breathe Feel meditation assists us to come into that place. So it's 20 minutes of guided audio that you can use to learn how to meditate.
Oh, that's beautiful. So thank you so much for offering that to the people watching and listening. Yeah. Thank you. So that's brought us to the end. Do you have any final thoughts to share before we wrap up?
So to me, what's coming is just open up a new listening to who you are beyond the mind and body, because that's where things are going. It's to integrate an understanding of your energy and how to use your energy with your mind and body and become more powerful, more centered in who you're being as humans on the planet.
Oh, beautiful. So thank you so much, Kel. And that brings us to the end of episode 6 of Kokoon. And we'll be back in a month for another episode. So thanks to everyone for watching.
Thanks, Kel.